I hope that went through because last time I think I must have done something wrong. And I'm just like, you know what they call me whenever I mess up? I am a, let's see if I could even figure out how to do this.
You know what? You're so funny.
I'm still trying to mess with the sound effects. Well, for those of you who are new to our channel, Queen and April here today at Q&A, and we would love for you to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, if you want to know whenever we're going to be going live, you can click that notification button, and that will give you an alert to let you know that we are going to be going live. So welcome, everybody. And hi, April. How was your weekend?
Oh my goodness. Well, it was good. I did have an opportunity to go hang out with a friend, and we actually saw, what is it again? The Devil Wears Prada 2. I'm telling
Oh,
you,
there's a
for
part
me,
two. Okay.
yes, yes. And it did not uh, disappoint. What I really
Well, I'm
loved
trying to
about the
figure.
movie, oh, go
Uh
ahead.
huh.
No, I was going to say
No,
what
go
I really
ahead. Tell me
loved.
what you loved about the movie.
Okay. What I really loved about the movie is the fact that they were able to bring a lot of the original cast together, but the storyline was different and it kept you engaged. So,
So was it in the
yes.
movies? It was in the theaters?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay. I need to go and check it out.
Yes. And if you're
Good.
into fashion, like the fabric, the material, it was a lot of sharp outfits being worn. I'm just saying.
Nice, nice. Well, for me, this weekend was Stuff the Bus, which is a campaign where we are collecting school supplies in the community. And I was very successful in getting the media out there. Everybody was out there, just all the media outlets, the mayor, council people, and we got a lot of donations. So it runs until the 19th. So I'll be tied up doing some of those things. But it was really fun to have everybody come out. The media guy says, I'm going to be covering this story from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. Like, 6 a.m. like a.m., not 8 p.m. Is it local, standard, central, eastern? What kind of time is 6 a.m.? But funny enough, as tired as we were, everybody showed up and they were lively and we got it done. But it was the longest remote I have ever seen. They call it a beat. It was the longest beat. I mean, we
Ooh,
were live at like 6:20, then 7 o'clock, then 8:30, then he did social media in between, then 9 o'clock, then 10:30, then 11. Whoo, it was a lot, but it was
ooh.
so much fun. I sent you some video. I don't know if you got a chance to look at it,
I
but
did
if you
see
haven't,
one
please.
of the, I believe it was the news article. So I was able to see
Yes,
that. There
yes.
was one
Well, there's a
article. Well,
video when you click on the one from Go.
you look radiant. So I mean, you were pouring into helping others, and it just came back on you. So I
That
see
was
you.
fake
I
for
see
real.
your glow.
That was fake for real. Thank you. I was like, I regretted my decision. But by the time we got there, it was so much fun.
No.
And he was wired. He said, I said, is there anything you need? Because I love media when they do things for us. And he was like, nope, I don't drink
Yes.
coffee. I don't drink nothing, but I drink Celsius. So I went on Amazon and typed in Celsius and brought him 3 cans. And he was like, thank you for the crack. I really needed it. And so he was wired and all ready to go. So that was a really good fun affair. And I was thinking, I need some of this stuff too, but I don't drink caffeine. And so I do drink coffee. But so before we
Okay.
get started today, I would love for you to go ahead and give us the quote of the day, if you will.
Yes. So my quote of the day is this: confidence isn't walking into a room believing everyone will like you. It's
Mm,
walking into a room knowing you'll be okay if they don't.
mm. I like that
Now
one.
that's kind.
I like that one right there. That
Yes.
says me all day.
Hmm.
Yes, clock that
Listen,
T.
listen.
That's a good one.
One
I
of the things
love
I
that,
tell my,
April.
one of the things I tell myself, and I know it's just my booster for myself, is I just say like the party doesn't start until I show up. Like that's just,
Okay, now I see that. Hey, girl, I'm always
that's
like this.
just it.
If you don't like me, that ain't my business. That's yours. That's not my, I mean, why would I be concerned if you like me? So let's kick it off. Our topic today, people are talking about confidence. A lot of new agents, some people, who are a little shy in the business or maybe new. And basically, do you need confidence? Like, who needs confidence? And how does that work? Is confidence sort of, can be too much if you're looking confident, you're cocky. So let's hear what you have to say, Miss April.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm going to speak into it as a veteran agent and just kind of throwing in human emotions as well. And for me, faking confidence, like to the extreme, is not something that I would advise an individual to do. Instead of faking confidence, show up as your authentic self, but borrow from the industry. And what I mean by that is just simply make sure you take time to understand your market, to understand whatever the transaction is that you are
Hmm.
about to embark upon, right? Do your research, right? Have some research the market data. In other words, just prepare, right? Because when you prepare, and you hear that all the time, especially in public speaking, preparation, 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 or prepare, prepare, prepare. Getting all Peter
Well,
Piper.
so what do you tell an
Go ahead.
agent who's brand new? I mean, how are you going to have confidence? You never did this before. I know when I first did it, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I'm good at faking it. So I did fake it till I made it. But I also know that if I don't know something and someone asks me, I'm going to say, that's a good question. Let me find out the answer, because what I'm not going to do is give you the wrong answer, but I will call you back in about 10 minutes or whatever I can do, or I'll lean on somebody else. So what do you tell a new agent or a new person? They don't have confidence. It takes a
Hmm.
real, like, it's like going out, it's going out singing on stage. You will go sing on stage. I don't care who you are. To this day, I still get butterflies when I have to speak in public, from in front of a
Yes.
large audience that I don't know. I'm not confident. They thought I was. I promise you, because I had to fake it. But what do you tell someone who can't fake it like me? I'm really good at that. I can. You would never know. Although I don't remember what I said, what I did, where I was. I can't. I'm glossed over. But somebody go, girl, you
Hmm.
did great. And I'm like, I
Hmm.
did. I felt like I was befuddled. I didn't know what was going on. So, how do you talk to a new agent?
Right. So I would say the same thing. I'll give an example. I'll tell a true story. Okay. When I first started real estate, I remember my very first listing. So I remember clear as day my license arriving in the mail. And then my husband and I had gone to a Super Bowl party. It was like 3 days later. And at the
Mhm.
Super Bowl party, as I'm engaging with the individuals there, the host and the hostess mentioned that they want to sell their home and they're considering doing for sale by owner. Remember, had my license 3 days. So I engaged just in general conversation. I spoke about what I knew. There was no faking there. I spoke about what I knew. And I knew that they were wanting to go the route of for sale by owner. And this is what I mean when I say do your homework. So I left that conversation at least getting their permission or finding out if they would be willing to meet with me so that I could talk to them a little bit more about the sale of their home. I did not want I didn't want to spend the whole entire evening there when I'm supposed to be there for the Super Bowl, engaging and talking about real estate. Plus, I was brand new. Okay. So I went home and I did some research on for sale by owner. I My research was very specific. I wanted to know why people chose to sell their property on their own. Why would they not use a real estate agent? Right? And so once I studied and learned that, I was able to handle any objectives they would bring up when I met with them as a follow up. And in the state of Virginia, I'm not sure how long that contract paperwork is now, but it was about 12 to 14 pages long. So I called my broker and I said, listen, I have a listing appointment. I need you to sit down with me and kind of break down each of these paragraphs because I want to show up looking as if I know what to do. This is what I'm
Mhm.
talking about when I mean preparation, when I say preparation. So fast forward, I have the listing appointment. And back then, you and I've been licensed so long. Back in the day, it was like sign, sign here, press hard, because it was the carbon copy, right? So they asked me a few questions, and I said, you know what? I'll get to those questions at the end of our conversation. And I would just jot them down. There were like two specific questions they had. Lord knows I did not know the answer. And back in the day, they had that commercial, "Never let them see you sweat."
What? That's for sure.
So so after I was done going over all of the contract paperwork, I had the two of them look over what I'd briefly discussed with them, and I excused myself and went to the restroom. Well, honey, I am in the restroom with my phone. I called my agent. I'm like sweating. I'm like, look, they're reading the contract. They're reading the listing agreement, and they want to know,
That's crazy.
two
In the
things.
bathroom.
This is true in the powder room. Okay, I'm whispering because I'm in their home, and so she told me. So I'm done in the restroom, and I dry my face all off because I'm sweating. Like, I'm just like, I don't know what to say and do here. And so I just moseyed on out the restroom with confidence because I had
That's
the
what you do.
answer. Okay. And I sat down. I said, "Oh, I see you. You both are still reviewing the documents." And I sat down. I said, "I'll wait over here." So I sat down. Lord knows I'm so glad the ceiling fan was on. So anyway, once they were done, they signed off on everything. I, as a profession, I gathered all of the documents, and I said, "Oh, by the way, while you all were looking over the documents and signing, I took the liberty to reach out to my broker, and I do have the answers to the two questions that you asked, and I just gave it to him." And that was that. There was no faking. There was tons of preparation, and I leaned into the assistance of my broker in this instance, and I got the listing.
Well,
That's
that
my
is
true
great.
story.
I'm gonna give you one of these as a new agent.
I was a brand
Well,
new agent. Yeah.
I tell you, that's a good story. I mean, if you are confident enough to act confident, maybe you should confidently find someone to lean on. But you know me, I'm a totally against winging it in the bathroom and all that. I do believe that you should be paired up with an agent whenever you're doing any type of brand new agent business, because I feel like that's how you learn, you get confidence, and you're learning from a person who is a pro, and you don't risk the, I guess, or run the risk of losing the deal. I was talking to somebody about that
Mhm.
recently. We have new agents that say work with a builder. And if those new agents aren't trained, we don't have time for games and confidence. We need to make a deal. And if the deal doesn't happen, guess
Mhm.
what? 100% of zero is nothing, right? So we don't have anything at that point. I do recall in my days, because people would look at me, even though it is so untrue, I am not always that confident. I am so not confident that when I went to school, I went to a very intimidating college, and there was a lot of people there. And I knew I wasn't going to show up looking crazy. I had to stand tall and soldier it up and make sure that I was looking good. But the whole time, I was scared as all F, and nobody knew it. And when we were at the end and
Mhm.
getting ready to graduate and everything, they was like, "Gosh, I wish it was like you." And I'm thinking, like who? I think I was wishing I was like you, because I
Mhm.
really honestly did not feel like I was confident, and but I appeared. So I would remember a couple of years ago, a lady came to me and she said, "Be so confident in yourself." And I said, "You have low self-esteem, sweetie. So I'm not sure
That
why you're
part.
asking and telling me I'm so confident in myself." The point is that I had to appear confidence because I'm always taught to be the strong one. But in essence, I really wasn't that confident. But when it comes to real estate, I believe that I'm super confident. No one can
Mhm.
challenge me. I am the best that I coach and teach. I always ask agents, "Hey guys, I have a question for you guys. Who do you think is the top agent in your area, your market? If I went to Atlanta, I would ask that question, New York, wherever. Inevitably, they raise their hand. They'll say, it's Mary Smith, it's John Jones, it's so and so. And I'm like, so let me get this right. You mean you're not the top agent in your market? They were not the top agent in their market. And that is really weird to me that even though you don't have to be the top agent, he who advertises, he who social medias, he who puts himself out there becomes the top agent. That's really the truth. You don't have to even on day one, you can advertise Aflac. I don't know if you remember when Aflac was came out in the 90s during the OJ
Yes.
trial, the Super Bowl. You can Aflac and you're an established company just because you chose to advertise. And I do talk a lot about that in my book, how advertising is the key to anything. Nobody has to know you. You could be the newest person on the block.
Mm-hmm.
But if you advertise, that can push you to the top because all the other people are, we consider them 007 secret agents. So
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like confidence is something that you do get over time, which allows you to speak in a manner that you know what you're saying off the cuff. Or you can have a level of quiet confidence where you could do like you did ear, so somebody could talk to you while they're asking questions. You can answer them through the through the bug in the ear. Or you could take the time to find out the information that will help you create the confidence. But you can have people who are just shy, who don't have confidence. You can have people who not just uneasy, like you said. You got to go get some training. If I had a way of putting out
Mm-hmm.
like a plan for an agent, my plan would be as you are getting your license, you are pairing up and training with a person and preparing yourself. Because I opened up a franchise. It's a Verizon franchise. It was an 8-week program because on day
Mm-hmm.
one, you don't have time to learn. The 8-week program, including going to a store with another agent, another Verizon representative, and working with them for 5 days straight. But you also had to go to corporate. You don't have time to learn on day one. I never sold phones, but I use a phone. Just like if you never sold a house, you might have bought one or lived in one. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
come from a place that's earnest, but you can't sort of have the fence until you get into the flow, ebbs and flow of the business, and then you create that confidence. So even someone like yourself who took the liberties to go and call a broker, that was like training in a way, and that was like leaning into
Oh,
an expert.
definitely.
But some people, they don't really know in this business. You're put out there like a fish in water, or you and it's up to you, the agent, unless you're with a good company. You're going to have to learn how to navigate, pay a coach, or try to partner with someone and learn the game so that you do have the confidence you need.
And not only that, if you think about what I mentioned, I put in the work first, right? A lot of times, what people don't realize is listening goes a long way, right? Because I gave that example of day three, having my license, and then meeting with a couple. Instead of me talking, like during that initial meeting, instead of me talking like I knew everything about real estate, I didn't. I intentionally chose to do more listening so that I could understand where they were coming from. And then I left and I did the research, right? Because I wanted to be able to handle their objectives. And at that, I mean, there are some things that you can do, and your broker, you can do on your own for yourself if you're serious about this business of real estate. And your broker, you should have a broker that is there to assist you and give you guidance when needed and when you ask for it. But here's one of
That's
the
another
other things I
topic.
noticed, Queen. Yeah, right. That's why I said that you should. But here's one of the things that I want to share, or I would like to mention to newer agents, and it's that, confidence isn't always loud, right? Sometimes it's just being comfortable with not knowing. You don't have to know everything, okay? I know quite a few professional agents, such as brokers, because you and I both are brokers. Um, where we will say things like, I don't know. It's okay to say, I don't know, or let me verify that. Or how about this one? That's a great question. Of course, you're going to share, you can put those out there and say, let me get back to you with that.
Yeah.
Now, once you say those two sentences, make sure you then follow up, right? And so that's another way of building
Mhm.
your confidence and conducting business without being fake. So, yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah. So really you're focused on like people faking it till they make it or being fake, period, and saying the wrong thing. Because I faked it till I made it, but I wasn't dumb enough to say the wrong thing. Energy of confidence, the information I had to
Correct.
say, listen, I don't know. Because even last week, I had a guy come from St. Jude's, and one of the questions he asked me was, what kind of cabinets are these?
Mm-hmm.
Wood, I don't know. He really wanted to know how they're made. I don't know. We don't care
Right.
how the chain's made. We just want. Now the kicker is, even if I told him how it's made, if that manufacturer goes out, we got to get a new manufacturer, and those change all the time. But I didn't know, and I told him I don't know. I really don't. He wanted to know what the locks on the door. You know how you could look on the door and see if it's quick set or whatever the
Yes.
names are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I said, hold on, let me look at the. You want to know too much, and why?
It's
Who cares what the
okay.
locks are? But I really
Mm-hmm.
didn't know,
Because
and that's because things change.
And here's the thing, clients hire certainty, not arrogance, right? So you not
Mhm.
knowing at that moment, it didn't bother that individual, but the fact that you looked, did the research to come back and give the correct answer or
Answer,
correct
yeah.
response, that's what keeps that's what's going to lure or get a client to want to work with you.
Well,
Yeah, it's
sometimes even in new construction, you're asked questions like, "What's the SEER and the tonnage and all this stuff?" And you're like, "Bro, it works. Just go inside. It's
I
cool.
know.
Get some air." But honestly, there are those engineered types that are going
Yes.
to ask for the R values and the insulation and the R values in the floor and the ceilings and all this and what are the studs made from? Like wood?
Yeah.
What do I need to know? Well, it's a two by four, two by fours, but most people heard two by fours, so they go two by fours when it's really not a two by four because they don't do that anymore. So there's a lot of things people will ask,
Hmm.
and I'm always going to say I don't know. I'm like, look,
That's
building
it.
manager, my engineer, the construction manager, somebody like that, because I really don't have the answer to that. You're probably one of the first to ever ask, or one out of 10, 20 guys. If you were the first to ever ask, I don't know. But if you were the second to ask, I'm going to know because I already checked. Once you left, I went flying to find out the information so I could get back to you. So now I am well versed in that area. But
Yeah,
there are things that people ask sometimes that things do change. So what's good
that's right.
today is not good tomorrow. So that confidence is like you said, the confidence in not knowing, which is where I come in. Look, I don't know. There's a new regulation, a
That's
new
it.
this, a new that. Let me get back to you because a lot of times people will ask a question heard. They heard something. I hate those. Well, I heard this and I
I
heard that.
know.
And 99% of the time, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, you could heard from TikTok or whatever, and I'm going to tell you that's wrong. Well, every
Hmm.
now and then they heard something, and I never heard it before. And before,
Right. And I'm not quite sure if it's my system, Queen, but it looks like your camera has frozen. But when you were saying, I don't know, one of the things that I
can
brought that I
you
remember
mute,
when
please?
I used to, one of the things I
Okay.
remember when I used to supervise was as a supervisor, you don't have to know all the answers. You just need to know where to get the information from.
That's
So
correct.
be
That's correct.
okay with saying, I don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
know, a lot of times people have this need to sound smart, and it often comes from a place of insecurity. Okay. The willingness to learn comes from confidence. And yeah, so when we say fake it until you make it, to some extent, just don't go overboard,
Yeah.
lean
Don't
into
be
the
fake and
strengths.
lying. Fake it in the confidence
Correct.
level, but don't lie about the information. And I do know some people, I'm not calling no names, that literally
Yes.
can tell you about driving a spaceship and they never been in a spaceship. And you're like, bro, I know you never drove a spaceship. So why are you out here lying to folks and telling them you are so confident how the spaceship works, but you've never been in one? How make it make
Right.
sense? I've seen that, or I see people talking about something they know nothing about. We had a meeting recently. I'm not calling no names, and the man said, "Yeah,
Hmm.
VA loans is a 3 point, 5% funding fee," and I'm like, "Sir, no, 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 no. First time use is two
No, no,
point
no,
one
no,
three.
no.
What are we doing?" And I'm like, "You're a lender.
Hmm.
Like, what? Why are you so confident in the wrong information?" And so a
Yeah.
lot of times that will happen. And some people don't like correction, and you don't want to embarrass anybody, so you just have to wait and pull them to the side and say, "Listen, I ain't in your business, but you're wrong." And I need you to stop
Yes, yes.
spreading the wrong information. Back in the day, there was a everybody going around saying you couldn't use your VA loan more than once. I don't know if you remember that. Straight up
I
lie.
do, and that's
Somebody
so
heard it.
incorrect.
It's so incorrect, and they were saying it, and I was like, "Where y'all getting this from?" Or you can't buy a house with no money down. Or these were things that other agents were sharing and
Hmm.
spewing as well. So people were hearing it and thinking it's true. And so we had to
Now,
debunk those.
why were people repeating that? Because they didn't do their own research.
They didn't. Yeah. But with the
Become a
internet
fact
now,
checker.
with the internet, there's so much research out there. It's getting really it's getting jumble mumble. Everybody's hearing things and figuring out things and listen to TikTok, 10-second memes and going on Instagram. And, one guy got on the internet the other day and he was like, "Yeah, I'm never buying a house because the mortgage went up $500 and mortgage payments don't go up $500. What happened was maybe your tax
No,
and
they
insurance
don't.
went up $500, but your mortgage did not." So you have to be
Right.
clear because it made people think differently. And you can always go back to your insurance company. Can't do nothing with taxes, but you can go back to your insurance company and change insurance to try to help with those costs, those increases, because you can get those reevaluated. But he was spewing that out. A lot of people saw it. You should have seen the comments. I ain't
Mm,
never buying nothing. I'm a rent for the rest of my life and be broke and never have assets and never leave anything to my heirs
wow.
and so forth and so on. So, some people are really strong and the internet is confident. When the internet
Yes.
says it, that is it's reaching a large audience, a large group of people. And like Abraham Lincoln said, if it wasn't on the internet, it ain't true.
That's it. That's it. Another
Abraham
thing I
Lincoln.
thought about was, again, we're talking about that topic of faking it, right?
Hmm.
Oftentimes, if a person goes into the meeting with the client with the understanding that this meeting is truly not about them, it's about the client, right? And so if you put more of your focus onto how can I help this individual? How can I add value? First of all, it comes in, that's where listening comes into play, right?
Hmm.
But I found that when you put the focus on how you can assist the individual, the anxiety within yourself is reduced greatly.
Well, I have to
And
tell
that's,
you,
go ahead.
I think what you're saying is actually true. I'm not knocking
Hmm.
anybody's style of business, but one of the things that bothers me, and it just
Yeah.
bothers me because I'm a bottom line person, when anybody, I don't care if
Hmm.
it's an agent or a real estate agent versus a insurance agent, or I don't care if it's a rep at the grocery store, I do not like it when people tell me about themselves. For example,
Yes.
I want to buy a house and you're telling me I sold 44 houses last year. Well, you might not sell the 45th. You might run into a pickle. I've been doing this so
Hmm.
long. We closed 40 deals last year. A lender told me we closed 2 million deals or 2 billion. I don't know. And I really don't care. Can you close this one? I don't really care when agents do that because I'm as good as my last deal. I may
Yes.
flop on the next one. And I know this for a fact because I sent a referral out to a good agent and she flopped
Hmm.
it. Her personality, her ethic with the guy, he hated her. She's a great agent, but on this deal, she wasn't what he expected from her. So when
Hmm.
you run in there and tell me how great you are, how many accolades you have, I don't think anybody cares where I went to school. I don't think anybody cares how many kids I have. I want to be your friend after the deal is consummated. Once we get this deal
Right.
going, let's talk about the dogs and the vacations and the housewarmings and how great I am and how cute I look, which you can see anyway. And I know I'm cute, so that's my confidence right there.
Listen, if you
I
got
tell
it, you
people,
got it.
you got look. If you think I think I'm cute, then you're right. I do, and thank you for thinking
I
I'm cute because
say,
really, that's what it is.
look, I say, what? Why think about what I know? Did you hear
There
me?
we go. There we go.
Why
So a
think
lot of
about
times
what I know?
you got to think about, when you're coming off telling people who you are, what you're doing, and how much you did in the past, and how great you are. That kind of confidence to me bothers me, and that's just maybe because
Mm-hmm.
it's me. I don't want to belabor the
Mm-hmm.
point because it takes away from some of the people who the first thing they want to show you is every star they got, every championship belt, how many award ceremonies they've been to, and to me, it doesn't really matter. What matters
No.
is that you're a good person. I like value. I think integrity is important. Value, what you bring to me is important, but not what you sold in the past and how great you are. Because an agent who never sold anything, and I was that agent, and so were you, did a
Mm-hmm.
darn good job. Like you couldn't have told my first client when he found out that I was his first client 10 years later, because he called me
Mm-hmm.
back to sell the house I sold him 10 years prior. He said, wait a minute, you
Mm-hmm.
was guinea pigging me? How did I miss that? He said, I literally wrote, this is a great full circle. The client that I sold my first house to ever in real estate just called me back to sell his house 10 years later.
I love
And
it.
he literally wrote me and was like, his name was Bruce. I'll never forget it. Brandon Bruce. He was like, I believe that you were brand new. I said, I'd never sold anything before in my life. And he couldn't believe it. So that was a testament to me. Give myself a little applause because I deserve that. So I know we're out of time. And I
Yeah.
appreciate each and every person. Is there anything else you want to add to the conversation before we close?
Yeah, I wanted to just give a little tidbit, and it is kind of like a close, so it'll be a preview to your closing. But I just wanted to say you don't need to fake confidence to win clients early on. You need enough courage to show up prepared, tell the truth when you don't know something, and care more about helping people than proving yourself. Real confidence isn't something you wear, it's something you build. And with
Well,
that,
now,
I'll turn it
April, look
on.
at that. Look at that, girl. Oh my God. That was a great closing. I love that. It makes a lot of sense. It has a lot of meaning, and it's so important. And those of you who've been watching today, I hope that if you have questions, comments, anything you can add to the conversation, please feel free to comment, share, like, and subscribe. Again, we're not the big YouTubers. We're just two girls having fun, some real estate chicks that just like to have open dialogue
Yes.
about different things that we've heard. If you do have a question, burning question, you want us to ask it on the air, we'll be happy to do that. And if you want to join live, you could do that. Look, this is us. We do what we want to do. We don't have any rules or regulations right now, but we love all of you, and we can't wait to see you next week. I'm hoping the intro works this time. There it goes. It's Queen and April Q&A. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.